This episode was definitely not at all what I was expecting, but I still really enjoyed it, and there was a lot to take in. And I cannot believe who has returned. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be breaking down and reviewing episode 4 of The Mandalorian season 3 titled The Foundling. This episode goes into the past of Grogu and how he escaped Order 66, as well as going on a mission with Din Djarin and the rest of the Mandalorians to recover a Foundling. Before we break down the episode, I just want to say thank you guys so much for 200 subscribers. You guys are killing it, and I am just so grateful for all of you. With that being said, if you are brand new to the channel and want to be a part of this community, just hit that subscribe button. Because I post videos every week and I'm going to be posting a lot more. Now with that out of the way, let's break down the episode. We start off with this training montage where we see all of the Mandalorians training and really seeing the fact that they've increased in numbers greatly. If we remember in previous seasons, they've actually dwindled in numbers over the years, and it seems like this is the first time they're regaining their group. We see Bo-Katan moving along, kind of adapting to this big group of Mandalorians, which, she's been alone for a while, so this is a big deal to her. But we still don't know if she's being truthful and accepting the creed or if she's got other plans. We see Grogu training with these rocks, but we find out they're actually little crabs, and everything just looked so good in this episode CG wise. And we'll get into the fights later because that was such a good part. Grogu is now becoming a Foundling Mandalorian. Din actually puts Grogu up in a fight against this child Mandalorian where we see them use these arrows to try and basically take down one another. But they're not real arrows, they're like paintballs. After losing majority of the fight, Grogu actually gets the upper hand and does a couple Yoda style force flips to win the battle. After this, we see another creature. This planet that they're staying on is full of wildlife and dangerous creatures. And again, we see a new one here that I really think they should be moving somewhere else because it doesn't seem like they can stay safe for very long. This giant dinosaur looking creature comes down and swoops the child off the ground that Grogu battled and takes him away. The Mandalorians freak out and then they go after it to save the child. Paz Vizsla, Bo-Katan, Din Djarin, they all go to rescue him. However, Grogu stays behind with the armorer. At this moment, I knew we were going to see the flashbacks. This is what happened to Din Djarin in the first, season. Grogu goes with the armorer into the forge, and we get these flashbacks of what happened to Grogu during Order 66. We flash back in time, and we see all of these Jedi protecting Grogu from all of the clone troopers. Now, sadly, we didn't see Anakin/Darth Vader, but it was still a really cool scene, seeing all of the clones in live action again. The Jedi basically get destroyed as per usual with Order 66, but Grogu makes it in an elevator and rises up to meet a new friend. We finally see who the Jedi is, and this is Kelleran. Now, he's not a character we've seen before, but after a few moments of looking at this person, I freaked out because this is Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks in all of the prequels. It was so amazing seeing him back in the Star Wars world, especially as a Jedi, because he actually had a really tough time with the negative reception to the prequels when they came out. It was so wholesome seeing him return to this role and being a savior for Grogu, and I loved it. While he wasn't a character that we were expecting or hoping to see, it was such a nice touch and adds more to the story. So thank you, Dave Filoni. Thank you, Jon Favreau. That was incredible. There's just something so special about seeing an actor getting a second chance. Because in my age group, I grew up with the prequels. I loved the prequels. I didn't think Jar Jar Binks was the most annoying character in the world. I thought he was supposed to be that way. I never thought Ahmed Best was a bad actor, but getting him back here and getting that second chance was so important to him and to the fans in general, knowing that he is back and he played such a great part in this episode. It wasn't necessarily the scene that got me emotional, it was really just the behind the scenes aspect of an actor getting to come back and play in Star Wars again. He rescues Grogu and we have a beautiful space battle through Coruscant where we see the gunships that the clones ride in, and it was just great. The ship that Kelleran and Grogu ride in remind me a lot of the Nubian starship that was actually present in episode 1 that Padme rode. They escape through hyperspace and then we cut back to Din and Bo. Now, yes, it was a little bit short, but it was really cool just seeing this scene. Every time we get to see Order 66, I'm in. And while we didn't have a lot of fan service moments, the fan service moment that we got was super special. Now, before we cut back to Bo and Din, we actually see the armorer create a new chest plate for Grogu with the Mudhorn signet. And it looks so cool. We actually get to see the chainmail that he's wearing that Din made for him. And now we get this chest plate. When are we getting a helmet? I've got to see what that looks like. I wonder if his ears are gonna like poke out through the side. I'm sure we're gonna see him in a full suit of armor sooner rather than later. Bo, Din, and Paz are around a bonfire with other Mandalorians, and we find out that Bo-Katan is actually starting to maybe genuinely accept the creed. Now, she definitely still has her motives, that's for sure, but we actually get a connecting moment with all of them, realizing that they're the same people. Bo asks Din how they eat their food, and they actually go off in separate ways after they get their food so they can take off their helmet. Paz Vizsla tells Bo that she can stay by the fire because she's the one who's leading this escapade and gonna save this child. The next morning, they go up to rescue the child, and it was a really cool scene where they're scaling this giant mountain, and Paz Vizsla is heavy and huge and has got this big minigun, and I can just imagine the weight that he must be carrying. It is crazy. They get to the top and they don't see anything. They're assuming that this creature is gone and taken the child with him. They see this heat signature and we realize, okay, maybe the child is still there, just hidden under all the brush. They want to go in quiet, but Paz Vizsla freaks out and goes for it. Why does he do this? Because it's actually his son. This means a lot more than we think. This means that these Mandalorians can have connections. They're not necessarily like the Jedi where they have to cut off all connections and relationships, but it also got me thinking, how do you have a child if you can't even take off your helmet? Anyways, this added a depth to Paz Vizsla that I really needed, and now I'm actually starting to really like this character. He goes to move the debris away to save his son, but we find out the babies of this creature are actually there. His son is not. This causes a huge problem from them, and then we realize that the mama has come back. She's actually keeping his child inside of her belly to feed to the babies, which, birds do, but this was really gross. A big fight ensues, and man, every week after week and every season after season, I keep telling you guys that this show has movie quality stuff. This is something I would see in a theater. The action is so great. It's a higher caliber than anything we've seen other companies do with their television adaptations. I'm looking at you, Marvel. I love you, but hey, come on. And they're using their vibro blades and their jetpacks. Everything was just magnificent. And just fun to watch. I think that's an important part about Star Wars. You want to keep the audience happy with the drama and the story, but the action does play a huge role in it. They end up saving the child, and Paz gives them a huge hug. They reunite with all the other Mandalorians back at home, and everything is great. Bo-Katan then follows the armorer into the forge again, where she asks her to make a new piece of armor that she lost during the fight. Now, on deciding what signet to get, the armorer actually asks Bo if she wants a night owl or something else. And Bo says, "Can I keep the night owl on one arm, but on the other one, I think I want the mythosaur." And the armor is like, yeah, that's sure. Everybody can get the mythosaur. That's a Mandalorian thing. But it means more to Bo because, well, she saw one. And she actually tells the armorer first. She tells the armorer before Din that she saw a mythosaur in the living waters on Mandalore. At first, the armorer does not believe her at all. She thinks it's a vision. She thinks that's something that just happens. But Bo reassures her that, yeah, she actually saw one. The armorer says this is the way. Bo looks at her and the episode ends. Bo is definitely going to be the one who tries to tame the mythosaur here. I think they're really setting that up, and I think that's kind of the main purpose of this season so far. We're 4 episodes in, and I think the story's really starting to form. While we didn't get the huge reveal that I think a lot of people were hoping for, myself included, with the saving of Grogu during Order 66, I think it's honestly for the better. Because this season already has kind of pulled away from Din Djarin as the main character, and introducing a main character back into the story like Mace Windu or Ahsoka could technically divide it even more amongst the characters. And don't get me wrong, I would have loved to see Anakin, I would have loved to see Mace Windu, etc. But having Ahmed Best back as a Jedi meant so much more than just seeing a popular character. Now, who knows? There could be way more flashbacks than we actually think. Because we just see them go into hyperspace. We don't actually find out how Grogu ends up in the clutches of the Empire. And what happens to Kelleran? We don't know. Hopefully we see more flashbacks in future episodes, but if we don't, it's not a big deal. I want this story to go full force ahead, and next week has really got to pack a punch as far as the story goes. Because a lot of things have sort of felt like side missions, and I feel like if we get the plot moving on a little bit more, this will be a very good season and one we'll definitely remember for time to come. This episode was on the short side. I think it was about 25 minutes, which I think the Bad Batch is almost the same. I haven't watched this week's episode yet, and I'm about to, so if it is as good as people are saying, I'm going to make a video on it. It's about time. And if you guys want to see content on the Bad Batch, leave a like and subscribe down below. Most importantly, I want to know what you guys think about this episode. Were you disappointed? Were you excited to see Ahmed Best return as a Jedi? Do you think Bo-Katan is actually going to live with the Mandalorians and accept the creed? Or does she have other plans? I think she has other plans. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that button down below. I will see you all very, very soon.